Good, said Cougar. Now let's... Cougar trailed off and turned his head as if listening for something. Then Zalmay heard it too, and it stopped him cold. It was the rumbling motor of an approaching car, which came to a halt down below the open window. Zalmay walked to the window to see who it was. Looking down, he saw a black sedan with two men climbing out of it. Americans in Western suits, each with a submachine gun in his hand. "No, get away from there," said Cougar. Too late. One of the men below looked up, called to the other, and pointed right at Zalmay. Both black-suited men dashed for the door of the building. Zalmay's apartment was on the corner, all the way down the hall. The men would have no trouble at all finding them. "Come on," said Cougar, motioning for him to go to the door. Zalmay dashed out and was halfway down the hall, past a row of silent, closed doors on his right, when he noticed that Cougar had stayed behind to shut the door to the apartment. He waited nervously as Cougar caught up, and they hurried to the stairs. From there, he could already hear the footsteps of the two men scrambling up, closing the distance with each footfall. Zalmay's apartment was only 3 floors up, so it wouldn't take them long to get there, and there was no other way out. Cougar drew his weapon from its shoulder holster. "Upstairs," he whispered, quietly. He took the lead, and they tiptoed up a flight of stairs, keeping their footsteps as light as possible. Cougar crouched behind the bend of the 4th-floor corridor, and Zalmay ducked behind him, breathing heavily, his mind blank with panic, the way a rabbit must feel when confronting a tiger. The American kept his Glock pointed toward the stairwell as the sound of the men's shoes on the steps grew louder and louder, and then they heard the footsteps receding down the hallway toward Zalmay's apartment. "Zalmay," whispered Cougar, pulling a set of keys from his pocket, holding them tightly in his palms so they wouldn't jangle. "Take these. I'm going to hold them off. While they're searching your apartment, you run down as fast as you can and start the car. If I'm not the first one down, you take off without me. Understand? But don't argue. Just go. Now, after me." Cougar walked back down the flight of stairs quickly and silently, leading with his shoulder, arm extended and gun pointing down at the ready. They heard a crack as the men kicked in Zalmay's door. Before reaching the landing on the 3rd floor, Cougar motioned for Zalmay to jump over the rusting railing onto the next flight down, so he wouldn't be seen from the hallway. Zalmay clambered over and vaulted down, but his foot slipped on the metal, and his arm smacked painfully on the railing below. A hollow metallic sound echoed up the stairwell. They heard voices, and then the sound of the two men running out of the apartment. "Go," said Cougar. "I'll hold them off." Zalmay nodded and started down. He leapt down the stairs 2 steps at a time, one hand clutching the keys and the other the strap of his knapsack, which was slung over his shoulder and slammed against him with every step. Gunshots, 3 sets of them, blasted through the hallway upstairs. The single reports from Cougar's Glock were answered by volleys of fire from the two men's semi-automatics. He slowed down and for a split second considered going back to help his friend. Honor demanded it. But no, Cougar had told him to go on ahead, so that is what he would do. He had learned that the honorable thing to do was not always the right thing. He pressed on, and an inchoate, wordless prayer for his friend's survival formed in his mind. Zalmay raced into the dusty night air, easily spotting Cougar's beat-up Jeep, parked at a hasty angle to the building, the headlights left on like the still open eyes of a dead ox. He pulled the door open and swung into the driver's seat, tossing the knapsack onto the seat beside him. He fumbled to slide the key into the ignition and then turned it. The engine rumbled to life. Gunshots reverberated from inside, but now they came from much closer. Cougar had made his way down the stairs. Zalmay leaned over to unlatch the passenger door and then kicked it wide. Cougar burst out of the building. He stopped just long enough to shoot out one of the front tires of the men's sedan. Then he ran over and hurtled into the Jeep's passenger seat, pulling the door shut as he did in one fluid motion, yelling, "Go, go, go!" Zalmay saw the two men appear at the door as he hit the gas. They sped off under a barrage of bullets. Several slammed into the back of the Jeep, making dull metallic thunks, and one shattered the rear window.